Welcome back. So in this lesson, we are going to discuss the multiple ways to host and the multiple approaches to hosting. There are many strategies that you can use to monetize short-term rental. This is why setting goals are so important, and you have to have a clear vision for what you want for your business, how you want your business to grow in terms of scalability, and who your avatar is in terms of who you will be targeting, because that will give you a good idea of which one of these strategies may work best for who you're targeting, as well as where you are located in the country or in any other country. So one approach is, of course, the landlord host. This is when you're just opening your home to short-term rental guests. So landlord hosting can be approached by having an extra room, renting out the whole house, condo, guest house, a camper, a boat. Any of those approaches is pretty much landlord hosting. It's something that you actually own, and you're using that to now give somebody the ability to occupy it for a short term, 30 days or less, in exchange for you getting a profit. Rental arbitrage, on the other hand, is control without ownership. It's like master leasing is what it's called. And this is a situation, of course, is a booming industry with amazing projected growth. So you can either rent or lease the property, then rent to guests short term. So this again is called the rental arbitrage. This is if you have, do commercial leasing and you go and approach apartment complex and they are investor friendly or Airbnb or short term rental friendly, and through your commercial lease you acquire 2 of the units or 3 of the units. You do a year lease or a 2-year lease, and then you just fix it up and convert all 3 into short-term rentals or Airbnbs. And you make sure that you pay the rents or the lease every month on those properties, but what you're making is 3-4 times what the lease is. So you actually are paying the lease every month and grossing 2 to 3 times whatever the lease is that you're pocketing clear, right? Free and clear, and you don't own anything. And then, of course, now there's new hosting strategies where people are doing the co-host called co-hosting, and they're just managing the short-term rental properties or the Airbnbs, and they do that for a fee, typically around 25%. I know quite a few people who are doing this right now. They actually will consult you. Once they help you to set your Airbnb up, they just run it for you, but you're pretty much hands off. So this is almost like the best way to automate. This is no different than how people who own 10, 20, 50 apartment units and they turn it over to a management company and pay them 20%, and they're hands off just collecting their checks. The management company is responsible for cutting the grass, for collecting the rents, for minimizing the vacancies in the units, and all of the legwork they do, and they just take out their percentage and pay you the rest. So this is the newest thing that's been created in the Airbnb space, where now people are actually co-hosting or using the co-hosting strategy where they have no skin in the game. This is what I mean by you also can get started absolutely free. All you have to do is acquire enough know-how to be a consultant, help people to set up their Airbnbs, and then you manage them. So that means you put all the things in place to get the Airbnb up and running, or the short-term rental up and running, to making the money it needs to make for them, and you just take your 25% out every month and keep it moving. And if you do this 10, 15 times, you've created a very solid business model that's very lucrative, by the way, and putting constant cash flow into your pocket, and you have no skin in the game. You've not purchased not one thing. Your name is not on any lease or any paperwork, and you're just collecting your money and keeping it moving. So as you can see, there are multiple ways to host, but there are also multiple strategies for hosting. Like I said, you can rent out the entire property. Of course, this is the easiest to manage and scale because the headache is gone. All you're managing is the property itself. Each occupant, they get access to the entire place. Once they're done, you send your cleaning crews in, they clean it up, and now you get ready for the next person to occupy the entire place. And so it works for any size property, and it's also the least amount of turnover in this specific strategy. Or you can rent per room. Of course, this is harder to manage in scale, but it's more income potential depending on where you are. And of course, you have a much higher turnover because you're constantly having to clean and refill any vacancies in every room. So if you have a 5-bedroom mansion and you're renting out each space in that mansion for so many thousand per month or per week or per day, you can see how much more work you have to do if you have to keep each room occupied and you have that constant turnover per room. But again, it's more money here because instead of you just getting one flat fee for the entire property, you're now getting a fee for each room that you're short-term renting. Then you can even drill it down to renting out per bed. Now, of course, this is even harder to manage and scale. It has obviously the most income potential because now, it's just about how many beds you can comfortably fit in a certain space, and you're renting out each bed. This is becoming more popular too as people are traveling in groups. As inflation is getting higher and it's more expensive, people are trying to find, again, more creative ways to save money, but to also still get a great experience and have access to certain properties. So again, it's harder to manage and scale, most income potential, but it also, of course, has the highest turnovers, and you may have set it up differently. So you want to definitely want to research this and make sure you understand. For example, like I gave the example of the gender-specific rooms, how they have access to restrooms, and all of that stuff has to be considered when you're doing per bed, especially if each bed being occupied and travel together. They're strangers. This is all 3 strategies that you can use. So you have multiple ways to host and multiple strategies for hosting. You have to be very clear about your business goals and your avatar. What is the profile, the demographic of the individuals that you're trying to attract? That is going to determine which strategy for hosting and which style of hosting that you end up using or decide to use.